Hey folks, this is Rhykker with the Gaming News Wrap-Up video where we discuss the happenings of the week. This week's topics include Diablo 5 not being too far away, the exploit that shut down trade in Diablo 4 for several hours, a new aRPG with destructible terrain in the works by some Diablo veteran developers, and more. As always, discussion timestamps can be found in the video description below. But right before you skip ahead, just a quick reminder to ring that sub notification bell to be alerted to new Saturday episodes and stay up to date with gaming news highlights. Starting off with Diablo news. Starting with Diablo 5? Executive editor of IGN Ryan McCaffrey posted a tweet in which he expressed his adoration for Diablo 4, whose campaign he just finished. And within that tweet, among other things, he said, "I'm so grateful that the long wait between D3 and D4 paid off." To which Blizzard president Mike Ibarra replied, "Going forward, you won't have to wait so long between titles. We have a lot more coming to Diablo 4 and beyond." Now, it was 12 years between Diablo 2 and Diablo 3, and 11 years between Diablo 3 and Diablo 4. Assuming Ibarra isn't talking about expansions, which contextually shouldn't be the case, this suggests that the plan is not for Diablo 4 to be World of Warcraft with just infinite expansions until the end of time. We do know that multiple expansions, plural, were planned or are planned for Diablo 4, but that could be a 2 or 3 expansions and we're moving on kind of deal. Assuming an expansion release schedule every 2 years, which is the fastest that Blizzard could put out, or has historically put out, we'd see expansion 1 in 2025, expansion 2 in 2027, and could that mean Diablo 5 within the next decade? We do know that Blizzard's plans are not set in stone. For instance, this product slate leaked over a decade ago, which turned out to be legit given the number of things on this product slate that came to pass. But you can see that there were 2 expansions planned for Diablo 3, and evidently the second expansion was cancelled. And this was further corroborated by other leaks. I just hope that we get to explore the entirety of Sanctuary in Diablo 4 before we move on. Then in other Diablo news, in an interview with Hollywood Reporter, Rod Ferguson actually gave us some figures, I guess you can say, the closest thing we have to actual player counts for Diablo 3. The interview was focusing on Diablo 4's marketing campaign, and as part of an answer, Rod Ferguson said, quote, "Diablo 3's been out for 11 years. It's on season 28, and we still have millions of players that come back to that game every season." Millions of players still play Diablo 3. I know a lot of people find that hard to believe. I know for years people have been saying Diablo 3 dead game. People point to Twitch numbers and say, look, Diablo 3 is dead, no one's watching it. People vastly underestimate the more casual crowd that isn't dialed into Twitch culture, that isn't dialed into the heavy game community and always being there and online and self-reporting that they're present and playing the game. Lots of people are just going to grab that controller, log in and play, or log in on PC, play at the start of a season. And we're going to talk more about Diablo 3 and its upcoming Season 29 in a little bit here. Then in other Diablo 4 news, there was a period of about 7 hours this week in which players could not trade. Blizzard had to disable trading, or they felt they had to disable trading, in order to stop an exploit. Allegedly, people were duping items and gold. Prior to Blizzard disabling the trading, we were starting to see reports of some players trading billions and billions of gold. Blizzard also said that players who exploited would be actioned, banned, but that players who accidentally traded with another player who exploited would not be punished. Blizzard then released patch 1.1.2 and re-enabled trade, presumably having fixed the exploit. Now I know some people are going to say, what, there's trade in Diablo 4? There actually is. The trading community on Discord is actually quite alive and healthy. Of course, what's being traded is rare items, since that's all you can trade. You cannot trade uniques or legendaries or legendary aspects. So it's all about getting those best in slot rares that you then pair with your own found aspect. And speaking of things that you cannot trade, Redditor Bloody Min has posted a screenshot of his extremely lucky drop. He got the Grandfather Super Unique. This is one of the absolute god drops of D4. Only a half dozen incredibly rare items that if you were to play every day for a decade, you probably still would not find one of these. And he got a really good roll on that affix. Look at that. Increases your crit strike damage by 92%. That's an X right there, so that is multiplicative. That is almost doubling his crit strike damage. Then finishing up with some Diablo 3 news, the PTR for Season 29 is live. That's the test server. I was able to spend a few hours on it before I had to leave for my trip, and it is a blast. I got to try out the Visions of Enmity. This is the new feature in Season 29. When you're not in a Greater Rift, you're going to encounter these portals that randomly spawn. I found multiples of them on the way, leveling up my character from level 1. When I was going to the Ruins of Sescheron, I ran into multiples. I could not get to the Ruins of Sescheron without... Every like 50 feet I was running into one of these. And it's a multi-level dungeon. Every level is very small, but it takes you through places you've never been before. Or at least, you don't typically go, rather. You have been there before, but maybe you've been there in the campaign. Or you just don't go to these areas, or you don't fight in these areas typically in Greater Rifts or the current endgame state of D3. You fight different kinds of monsters, different encounter setups. Sometimes there's a bunch of bosses. Sometimes there's a whole lot of elite packs. They drop a variety of different things. I think this entire Visions of Enmity is going to change the way we play Season 29. I think leveling from 1 to 70 is going to be very different. You get a lot of XP in these things. It's rough. They're challenging, especially if you're like level 1 and you're not geared. But once you get the gear for it, as long as you're not pushing yourself in a very high torment, I think this is going to be a really good way to level. There's drops that you can get in there. They're going to be very useful to you. I think you're going to farm GR keys in these now instead of regular rifts, because I got a whole lot of Greater Rift keys on my way from levels 1 to 70. I got like 30 something Greater Rift keys. And basically you go through the first portal, you're in your first map, you kill things until the next portal spawns, you go through that portal, and then you repeat for several levels, and then the last level will include a treasure goblin. Once you see the treasure goblin, you know that's the last level. Once you kill him, a chest drops. Once you open that chest, you have 30 seconds before you are ejected. I also got to try the new crazy chicken dock, which is a hilarious build. With only 700 Paragon, I was doing a GR 118 pretty easily. I got ranked 27 on the Witch Doctor leaderboards, and I could have easily gone further if I had the time. If you want a guide on how to become the chicken that shoots out other chickens, that causes massive poultry explosions, check out this video here. Then in some Starfield news, the game has gone gold. Preloads on Xbox have already begun. Preloads on PC begin on August 30th. Official release date is September 6th, but early access begins on September 1st. Review codes have started going out for the game, and it's been reported that the game weighs in at 140 gigabytes on PC. So you got until September 1st to make room on your discs. But actually, to that point, how many of you folks are interested in Starfield? I personally am quite excited for Skyrim in space. I honestly think that Starfield has the potential to be a generation-defining game the way Skyrim was, unless Bethesda bunks things up here. It's a very ambitious title. There's not been any other game like this before. But again, what do you folks think? Are you interested in Starfield? Let me know. And let me know if you'd like to see Starfield content. In some Path of Exile news, the new league launched yesterday, Trial of the Ancestors, and the subreddit community is upset. Why are they upset? I have no idea. I'm in Germany right now at the time that you're watching this, and I recorded this before the league even started. But I can guarantee you go over to that subreddit and someone's pissed off about something. They always find something to be yelling about. If you're looking to dive into Path of Exile, now is a great time to jump in. New league. You can take it slow if you found this game overwhelming in the past. You don't have to learn everything at once. If you've been overwhelmed in the past, then just come back, follow a build guide, and you'll be okay. We got this video here on 10 league starters. These are builds that will be able to carry you through the campaign and well into the beginning of the end game with relative ease. Just follow the guides. You have a whole variety of builds to pick between as well. You can find something that's going to match your playstyle. Do give that video a look. Then in our last story, Moonbeast Games have shared an animated GIF. I like to say GIF, but I know that if I say GIF, people lose their freaking minds. So they shared a GIF of their upcoming aRPG on their Discord. This GIF was shared with me by 2CLR. If I'm correctly interpreting what I'm seeing here, this is almost like Minecraft meets an aRPG. And no, not Minecraft Dungeons, actual Minecraft. These appear to be, I don't know if voxels are the term. We're seeing destructible terrain. I think we're seeing the character actually jump. And yes, that rain of fire is coming down and altering the topography, isn't it? That's something that no aRPG has done before. And if they can make it work as part of a greater whole, this could be something really interesting. Now, who is Moonbeast Productions? Well, they're a bunch of Blizzard alumni, a lot of people who actually worked on Diablo 2. Not just worked on, were incredibly influential on Diablo 2. You got Peter Hu, you got Eric Schaefer, you got Phil Shank, you got Brian Fitzgerald. Brian Fitzgerald was the director of technology at Blizzard for over 20 years. Phil Shank, aka Shank the Overseer, was lead character artist on Diablo 2 and its expansion. He also did most of the story and world design for Sanctuary. He made the world Bible for Diablo. Then Eric Schaefer was one of the 3 founding members of Blizzard North, one of the fathers of Diablo. And Peter Hu was a programmer, designer, and lead on Diablo 2 and Lord of Destruction, and he was one of the last Blizzard North employees, actually, still working on Diablo 2. And he was the main guy behind patch 1.10. And then a number of these guys have also worked on other aRPG games since, Hellgate London, Torchlight, Marvel Heroes. So I do look forward to seeing more about their upcoming project. And that's going to wrap up this video. As a reminder, folks, I am out of office until early September, so posting schedule is going to be spotty for the next couple of weeks. I'll try to maybe get some videos out from the show floor at Gamescom, but can't promise anything right now. In the meantime, do be sure to have checked out last week's video in which we covered how all the headlines are talking about Diablo 4's player base plummeting. Thanks for watching. Special thanks to my Twitch, Patreon, and YouTube supporters for making these videos possible. If you enjoyed this video, please share it, check out these other videos, and subscribe to join Rhykker's Raiders for more gaming content.